Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to the Lioness Den. We are so happy to have you with us today. Look, it is December. Can you believe it? Wow, it seems like it was just January yesterday. And so, as we usually do, we plan to do today, we are going to have a check in with the professionals, the therapists, the life coaches about our mental health as we go through this last month of the year. We only have a few days left, guys. So, we are going to check in, get our checkup, make sure we are mentally capable of ending this year and starting next year with a bang. Look, before we start, I'm asking you to get your phone. And what we're going to do right now, I want you to join me in liking, sharing, and tagging people so that they will join us here at the Lioness Den. So come on, do it with me. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to my phone. Let's see, hitting Facebook, going to the Lioness Den here. Yeah, it's taking me a minute. I'm just, there are times when we must admit that we're getting a little older and we have to remember how to figure it out. And I am sharing this right now. So I need you to do the same with me. Take your phones out. Come on, let's go. Go to the Lioness Den and share this with your family and friends. Look, today is going to be awesome. We are going to get tips and tools to help us through the end of this year into next year. I want you to get your pens, your papers, call your friends, tag somebody who you know is going through something right now and tell them to get online as we go into the Lioness Den. Hey, welcome back, everybody. And we are here in the Lioness Den. Look, we have some great announcements to make today at the end of this session. But without further ado, let's get into it and welcome our guests, Miss Adrienne Hollimon and Miss Ebony Vaughan. Hi, ladies.
Hey, how
Hello.
are you?
Look, I am so happy that you all chose to join me today. Um, every year, this is what the third year I think we've done this. About the
Mhm.
third year we've done this, where we get our end of the year mental health checkup. Um, and you ladies have helped so many people. I hear about you all the time when people talk about our mental health sessions. I hear about Ebony and Adrienne and even LaDon, who is unable to join us today. But I want to thank you all because doing this has been a pleasure, and you guys make it so easy. Um, I am not a mental health professional, and you make it so easy because you just support everything and give out such great information. And so I appreciate you. Since it's the holiday time, I want to be able to say how much I appreciate you both. Um, as we start, can you guys introduce yourself? I think everybody know you, but I still want you to introduce yourself for that new person who has joined us today. So we'll start with you, Ebony, and then we'll go to Adrienne.
Hello, everyone. I am Ebony Vaughan, a licensed therapist, clinician, teacher of the gospel, and coach. And so I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you, Lydia, so much. So thank you for inviting me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adrienne Hollimon. I am a transformational life coach, and I help women to align with their purpose, transform their mindsets, and make money. So I am indeed happy to be here. Thanks. I'm always excited about the invite and excited about what we'll share today.
Now y'all know every session I have to mute myself one time and forget I'm muted. That's not one time for today. That's not one time for today. I was just getting ready to go in, but every year we go into this session talking about ending our year and going into our new year, but mostly discussing the holiday and the different things that people go through during the holiday. One of the major things that happen during the holiday is seasonal depression, due to different factors like life. Let's just start with that. Just like life, something we've talked about all year, life happens, it seems, and I'm going to say it seems more around the holidays than any other times when life begins to weigh on us. And so today I wanted to just start with discussing seasonal depression and maybe the symptoms that we need to look for during this season that will kind of give us an idea that we may need help or we may be experiencing seasonal depression. Ebony, can you share with us maybe?
Sure. So, seasonal depression is, I guess, it's very prevalent, especially when we start going into the fall months and when we start going into losing light during the course of a day. And so oftentimes you have people who struggle with seasonal depression. So seasonal depression could be associated with holidays, or it can also be associated with, as I said, seasons in terms of fall or winter, as opposed to spring and summer. More times than not, people struggle with seasonal depression during your fall and your winter months, as opposed to your spring and summer months. And it's just that time. Many people talk about how the days feel like they get shorter. People often talk about how it gets dark sooner, which kind of brings about a sense of dreariness or sadness. Seasonal depression can also be related to events that may occur during the course of a season or month. And what I mean by that is if there is a loss, if there is a traumatic event, let's just say if it happens in September and then every year, during the month of September or even the months leading into September, you may begin to experience symptoms associated with depression. So it could be sadness, it could be irritability, it could be lack of energy or motivation, lack of focus and concentration, disinterest in those activities that may normally be pleasurable for you. So those symptoms that are associated with depression oftentimes may show up during those seasonal times.
Absolutely. Um, and that's one of the major things that I think happened to a lot of us. Um, I believe history says that one of the reasons that they originally did, they were doing the winter solstice, trying to say it the right way, during this time of year because of the darkness, to give people something to celebrate. That's
Mhm.
even before they started celebrating Christmas because it does get dark and we all
Mhm.
need something. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I get sleepier earlier now because it gets darker earlier.
Mhm.
How about you, Adrienne?
The
I was
days.
going to say, I was telling
Mhm.
somebody today, when the sun goes down, it's bedtime. I'm sorry it goes down at
Mhm.
4:30 or 5 o'clock. My creativity
Mhm.
shuts down when it gets dark. It's like, but I still have the whole evening that I need to be productive, and it becomes more difficult. And don't ask me to come anywhere when it's dark outside. I know the event started at 7, but it's been dark since 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they really say that there is a chemical release. When we get less light, there
Mm-hmm.
is a chemical release that produces, some of those depressive symptoms when we have less light
Mm-hmm.
in the brain. It's a chemical release in the brain that produces those symptoms.
Yeah, it becomes major. For me, I know I'm a little bit like you, Adrian, too, where it's like once it's dark, I'm like done. But I find that I get up earlier, and even though it's dark, when I wake up, I can do more.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting. It's like get that sleep, even if I have to take Yeah, guys, I'm getting older. I'm sorry. Even if I had to take that nap, when you used to laugh at your grandparents who took a nap in the middle of the day. Now I'm taking a nap,
Hmm.
when I first get in from work or school and then getting up, like because I'm wide awake, I can do other things. And it's dark outside, but it doesn't affect me as much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what do we do when we see ourselves kind of falling into these symptoms, the symptoms of it's dark and I'm not doing anything, or I'm extra sleepy because it's a little bit more going on than it's just dark outside. I'm feeling, as Ebony was saying, I'm feeling a little lackluster. Don't know why, but it's happening more often than not.
Mhm.
Um, I don't have the zeal or even anything that's pushing me to do anything else during this season. I just feel like I just need to sleep until March. What do we do when we get to I feel like I just need to sleep until March because everything is just dark.
So one of the things that I think about is a self-assessment.
Mhm.
Is it just seasonal, or what else has happened, so that I know where I am, so I'm able to take my own temperature. So for example, if I know now when it gets dark I'm just going to be tired, I know I have to plan. I know I have to do my calendar. I know I have to plan activities, be strategic and be intentional, so that I am not non-productive or unproductive and get nothing done. But if it's also related to a loss, that's why I say do a self-assessment. If it's related to a loss, it's going to be a different activity. It's going to be something different. I may have to strategically think about the person in the good times and make myself do something else other than get stuck there. We'll grieve, and sometimes we don't even realize what's going on, because your body keeps score, and that what one of the books say, your body keeps score and your subconscious know these days are coming. So sometimes you'll start getting a little sad and you won't even know what's going on until you look at the calendar, like, oh, okay, let me play some music, let me play some of my favorite tunes, let me do a little dance, let me get out of the house for a bit, whatever you need to do to begin to change some of it, so that you still can manage, so that you can still, because a lot of times we have families, we have children, we have families, we have work, we still have to function. So we have to get into a place where we're at an optimal level. We're not always going to be a 100, but we can't stay down in 30, because then everything falls apart while you're down there.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
I agree. I agree totally. Some other things that, I would add is to create a calendar, and, resist the urge to go home and get in the bed, or resist the urge to not, do certain things because it's getting dark or because you don't feel like being out. One thing that I always say is, just because you feel something doesn't mean that you have to act in that. You do it because you know what it can help and what it prevents. So putting things on your calendar. And the other thing is, just practicing, good, healthy habits, whether it's working out, whether it's, attending things that help uplift you or encourage you, whether it's church services, whether it is, watching Lydia in Lioness Den, sessions, just doing things that will nurture and help uplift you, and then getting as much sunlight as you can, so that's the other part of it, avoiding the whole idea of, working. Okay, when I leave home, it's dark. When I go back home, it's dark. But taking those moments during the course of the day to get outside, to get some sunlight. So those are some, in addition to what Adrienne said, those are some, some other strategies that you can use.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. I know the walk at lunch.
Hmm.
So, not at my current job, but at my last job, we used to have a group that walked at lunch.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it was kind of cool because the weather gets a little brisk. So
Uh-huh.
you're not sweating too much when you walk in at lunch. You're not like out in the sun where sweat is pouring, but you do get to breathe in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Just feel the season around you.
Yeah.
That is, I think, a major thing for a lot of us, especially if we're in jobs at desk all day
Yes.
long.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't believe sitting at a desk can make you tired. It can definitely make you very tired, just sitting there. And it's not like I'm physically doing anything. You're not moving a lot physically. You're working on the computer, or doing a report, or maybe going from office to office, but it's not like a really difficult manual job. And sometimes the monotony kind of get to you and make you tired.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what else? There's also documented evidence that it's bad for your health.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Those who work at a desk and sit there for 8 hours or more, they're not getting the correct amount of exercise. They're not doing all that they need to do to keep their body in optimal health. And so there's like bad effects to being immobile and working from a desk all day. And
Mm-hmm.
I find myself, even before COVID, I would walk more and I'd get so many more steps in. And when I got off from work, I would walk around the complex or around the parking lot or the garage or something like that. But at COVID, I go from here to the kitchen to the, so I'm not nearly getting it. I have to be intentional to get my steps in. So it really is, like you said, not only is it better for our health and for our mood, but it's better for our overall health.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so I think Adrienne talked about the grief of remembering someone during the season.
Mm-hmm.
How do we actually kind of deal with that grief? Because one of the things, and I do refer a lot to myself only because I know my story. I don't know everybody else's story, but my mom's funeral was right around Christmas, and it was on my sister's. Her burial was on my sister's birthday. So every year we have tried to do something to try to keep that from being the theme of the day,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the anniversary. And
Yeah.
so we celebrate anniversaries for good things, but we also talk about anniversaries for loss.
Yep.
And so
Mm-hmm.
um you guys were saying a calendar, but what are good things to do for seasonal grief? Because this season, Christmas season, this holiday season is always for many people a season of grief because they realize who's not at the table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think creating new traditions and honoring old traditions that included that loved one that was lost. I think another way of getting through the holidays is to not run away from your feelings, but to push into them. And so, if you're having moments where you are, you have memories, you're thinking about this person, and you're remembering a time when they were sitting in that chair or when they were coming through that door. um, you know don't avoid or try to go around those moments and those memories, but lean into them and take the time to feel what you need to feel to get through them. I always say, don't go around, go through. Because if you don't, you won't get through. You won't be able to experience what's on the other side. And sometimes that's gratitude that that person was in your life. I think the other thing to do is to avoid being alone, avoid that whole idea of isolation. Often when we're struggling with grief, I just want to stay home. I really don't want to be around anybody. We have that whole song. And I think that for a season, it's okay, but then it's not okay. And I think that it's important to kind of get that balance in terms of, okay, I'm going to take some time, to be alone and to really kind of sit in what I'm feeling for the moment. But then I'm going to get up and spend time with family and fellowship and, share with others or talk about my loved one. So those are things, and also making kind of monuments of, not in a negative or demonic way, but just kind of creating memorable experiences where maybe if it's a Christmas tree, you make an ornament, that, kind of signifies that person, or, you kind of say this is their ornament, or, whatever it is, just something to kind of honor that person that you love. And it's okay to talk about them. Now, some people might say, I don't, want to really talk about it, and you give them that space, and you respect them for that. But all of those things take time as well. But if you do want to talk about your loved one, it's okay to do that as well. A lot of these things we try to avoid the feeling that is experienced, or the memories that are experienced when we do these things. But it really is more, it's more helpful to do those things than it is to avoid. So those are just some things that I think about.
It's interesting. I thought about, for myself, the first year after I lost my mom, around Thanksgiving, I was doing Thanksgiving dinners. So I had to anticipate some things that would be triggers. Right. I knew that there would be some things that would make me fall apart, and dinner would never be fixed and nobody was going to eat. So, for example, I knew that Mom would always help me make the gravies, because sometimes I would mess up on the roux, and she was like really good with making gravy. I bought jar gravy. I bought the jars so that I could make the gravy, because that first year, if I had messed up the gravy, dinner was going to be a mess. So I knew that would cause me just to lose it completely. I bought jars so that I got through that moment. I probably still had a tear when I opened the jar, but I didn't fall apart. Right. So little things like that, you just kind of anticipate. You may know some of those areas off. Okay, I know this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm going to back up a little bit from this place,
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I do find is that because of the difficulty of the holiday, and, what you miss, because a lot of times we focus on what we miss instead of focusing on what we have. And so we have everything around us, but we can only concentrate on what we miss. Kind of switching our focus. One of the things that we always talk about, me and my siblings, is Mommy would have loved, and we would talk about, because we had no children when she passed, and now they're like 6 grandkids, and we talk about stories of what she would have done, because we know that there would have been no peace in anybody's house if she had grandchildren before she left here, because she would have been at every house, and she would have been making sure you're doing this right and you're not doing that right, because this is the baby. And she was really big on babies. So we talk about that. We kind of laugh, because the kids, I think they get a little more disciplined because she's not here. Because if she was here, you would not be able to
leave that baby alone.
Yes, you know how they did. It would have been all day, every day of leave the baby alone, no matter how.
That's from the grandma. That's from Nana.
Yes,
I know that.
See, we got one on here with us, Ebony.
Yeah.
That's
the rules change with grandma.
The rules change. They were beating on you and disciplining you all the time. But when a baby comes, leave the baby alone. The baby can be 20. She's still a baby.
It ain't that serious. It ain't that serious.
My grandbaby asked me to polish her nails on Sunday. And I said, does your mom let you polish your nails? She said, and she's 3. She said, no. She said, but just do one. I did one. We ended up doing all 10. She did one at a time. Just do one more. I was like, okay, you're going to get Nana in trouble. She just laughed.
Yeah, because Nana can't get in trouble. She's Mommy's mom. Yeah. What is Mommy going to say to her mother? Nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's the good part, is that Ebony said, make new memories. Yeah. And Adrienne was saying how you get through. Because Ebony said, don't try to go around, get through. And Adrienne told us how to get through, and it's very important that we really get these concepts down.
Yeah.
And every year we come back to them most of the time. That's the one thing. Grief, I don't know, Ebony, you can correct me, but I don't think grief ever fully goes away for your loved one.
No.
I think we learn to live with it.
Yeah, I don't think grief, sometimes people think that there's a time limit. I've heard people, people have told me I should be over this by now, or I would have thought I would have been further along, or not falling apart at this moment and at this
Right.
moment. And I always say that it doesn't have a time limit. You just
Right.
learn how to live this new normal. You just learn how to live without that loved one. And
Yeah.
some say it gets easier. I don't know if easier is a
That's
fair
right.
word, but I will say that it becomes doable each day
Yeah.
you choose for it
Yeah.
to be doable. I don't know if it's easier, but I think that doable in
Yeah.
terms of your commitment to do is what happens more than anything, because you choose to live another day without that person. You
Right.
choose to
Right.
learn how to
Mhm.
live without that person. Learn
Mhm.
how to not get in your car and pick up the phone and go dial that person,
Mhm.
or you have a question and usually that person, you learn how not
Right.
to do those things anymore, those things that were so natural for you before. So I just think it's more of that. It's an adjustment. It's a new way of living and
Yeah.
a new way of accepting that takes place. But I don't know if it's easier, or there's never a time put to it.
Right. Right.
What would you say we tell people who deal with, after going through all of this, they lost someone and now it leads them into the feeling of rejection. So now I've lost the person I love, and it seems like the traditions that we set in place with the pandemic and everything. We used to have dinner every Christmas. Now we don't. We used to see each other. Now we don't. And I don't just feel like a loss. I actually feel rejected because my family doesn't want to do it either. It seems like everybody has started to go and make their own traditions, and I am single and alone. So now I feel rejected too. What do we say to that? I mean, what kind of advice do we give people in this situation?
We choose to make we make new traditions,
That's right.
right? So if the people there aren't going to be there, we isolate many times. Not that they reject us, we choose to isolate. So they've gone to make their new traditions, and we don't become a part of it. So if that means my tradition is going to be going to the harbor or National Harbor every Christmas or every Thanksgiving because my family is doing something else, then that becomes my new tradition. It's not a bad thing. It's just a new thing. And that becomes my new normal. Or do I now have girlfriends or friends who do things? Sometimes some of the friends who have lost their families or single women get together because they may not have family. You just begin to create and enjoy the newness, the new things, instead of staying where you are. Because if you get stuck there, then it not only do you have the grief, it's now tormenting you. And it becomes more difficult to shake it and to
Mhm.
get free and to live that best life.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that I was just thinking about as Adrienne was talking is that, and you got to want to,
Yeah.
like sometimes we give up on things because that person is no longer there, so we might say things like, well, I really don't want to have dinner because it's not the same, and sometimes we get stuck into, it's not the same. It's not going to be the same. It is different. And I think that, having that will to do is also important too, even if you don't feel like it, but
Yeah.
just being intentional about, okay, no one wants to have this dinner. Okay, well, I'll do the dinner and invite people, and whoever wants to come can come, or I'll, that kind of thing. And I think the other thing is, when we talk about loss, it's also important, to mention it's not just about the death of, someone, but it could be maybe you just had a breakup. Maybe you are recently divorced and it's now Christmas time, and all the other years it's like, oh, we had the matching pajamas, we had this and that. Now
Mhm.
I don't have this relationship anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the other part to that goes back to what I'm saying about choosing to live past those
Yeah.
experiences and creating new ones. Okay, it's not the same. Your husband, your wife isn't here. It's not the same. You
Mhm.
don't have that boo anymore. But what do
Right.
you do? How do
Mhm.
do you just lay there, and isolate and kind of be like, you know what, I don't want to do anything? Or do you
Mhm.
push past that and just be willing to do something different just because you're still standing?
Yeah. I remember when I got divorced, my whole in-laws divorced me and all the couples divorced me. So I wasn't just divorced from my husband, I was divorced from all the connections on that side that I knew. We all reunited years later, and had wonderful relationships, but everybody divorced me. And so I had to get used to the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like it's so major when you say that. I remember getting divorced too. And it was funny because you get divorced and you feel like, oh, everybody knew that this was a mutual thing and it was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out that, not
That's
everybody thought it was necessary. You thought it was necessary. Everybody thought maybe, So it's one of those things. It's another loss again, but sometimes it's actually a plus because yes, I got divorced, but I got some peace of mind. So
Yep.
even though I don't have the interaction that I want, the peace of mind that I got from the separation makes things just that much easier to live through. Um, and it is especially when you have kids,
mm-hmm.
because I think one of the major things that always for every holiday and everything is, how is my child getting through this holiday?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're adults and we're dealing with seasonal stuff and we're dealing with emotional stuff of our own, but how are our kids making it? What are we
Yeah.
doing to make sure that they are not, because children can get depressed, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes people act like they can't, but children can get depressed too, and without the proper support system, you
Yeah.
know
That's
you,
true.
people are asking why. Well, the kid did this, why did the kid do this? But who was looking, saying, is this kid okay?
Right.
Because they give us signs that they're not okay many times.
Right.
And unfortunately, is the what I'm going to say, we get so caught up in our stuff that we miss their
We
stuff.
miss it.
We miss
Yeah.
their stuff because they're going through the same stressors that we are, especially with the rejection, because the rejection is such a big thing. If I could interject a situation here. Me and my daughter have moved to North Carolina, as everyone knows, and I know sometimes because she's not home, the rejection becomes a big thing. And think about the holidays and the rejection. And I'm not sure if people want me to come home, because now I've been here for all these months and we're only coming home for the holidays. What do we tell our kids when they begin to feel this same type of seasonal stress and rejection? Because it becomes stress. The rejection, I think, brings about the stress also, and during the holiday, because now I'm anxious and I'm stressed about what's going to happen next. What do we tell our kids? I know we talk about what we can do, but what do we say to our children?
Yeah, and I think that is similar to what we've talked about in terms of they can focus on and kind of helping them through their emotions, as that as we walk them through it. So we're helping them through their emotions, but we're still both walking through the process together.
Right.
And I think that that's something that you can avoid, but really teaching them how to do it. But the other thing is something that you said, Lydia, earlier. You said instead of focusing on what you don't have, Focus on what you do have. Focus on the people that are around you, that are still here, that love you, and that are here for you. Because a lot of times we do get hyper focused on what we don't have, as opposed to really honoring what we do have, and honoring, what this holiday means now. So I think things like that. And I also think, just like we talked about, activities and, keeping them around their friends and family that they enjoy being around. You don't want to tiptoe around, those feelings of rejection, or even the feelings of grief that the children might experience. Recognize that it is something that they're going to go through. Working in a school, working in a school setting, and dealing with so many middle school and high school kids, I can say to you that during the holidays, there is a rise in, sometimes in behaviors, because of those very things, in terms, and a lot of times, not only is it the loss of a loved one, not only is it, the rejection that you talked about, but sometimes it's the feeling that I'm not going to have the Christmas that I want to have, so there's a grieving of not having that as well. And so, sometimes they'll act those things out instead of really being able to talk through them, because they can't always articulate what they're feeling. So we'll have like an increase in frustration and irritation. Next thing you know, they're annoying each other, and now we got altercations and things like that going on. So I would say to the parents to kind of be aware and sensitive to that, if it is a pattern in terms of during the holidays.
Yeah, I would add, like Ebony's talking about being sensitive and being aware. I also, if it appears to be prolonged and it appears that you can't help them shake it, then get them some help. Get professional help. Seek out a counselor.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we can't take for granted that they'll just get over it, because many of them have suicidal ideations and make attempts, right? And unfortunately, some of them are successful. So if it appears to be a little more than, because a lot of times we're dealing with our stuff and we can't really help them, get them help.
Yes. And that's one of the things that a lot of times, when I'm talking to friends and other people, your kid may, even if you don't get a counselor, they may need a mentor that's not you. Sometimes a mentor that's not you they have that person that is just like their friend. And it has to be someone who is open enough that they can, if it's something major, they can make sure they let you know. Get a mentor for your kids that, can talk to them and they feel safe with. Because you want to make sure it's someone that they feel safe with, that they will clearly say everything to you, or as much as they feel comfortable. They will talk to that person, but dealing with that person gives them that outlet, that sometimes they don't have with mom and dad, because mom and dad are who they're with all the time. They're the disciplinarian and the rewarders. And that can, depending on the relationship, the parent-child relationship, the discipliner and the rewarder is not the person I want to talk to. Let's just be honest. Because if I'm telling them what's going on, the disciplinarian might come out before the understanding shows up. And so,
my daughter will often say, "I need me a Coach Adrienne, but I don't want Adrienne."
That's right. And I always tell people that, first of all, you can never be a therapist to your children or your spouses or whoever. No, you're not qualified. Just go on and just
find somebody else.
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. Because you counseling them and then you get your feelings.
Right. You're in your feelings.
They talk that way
about you.
Right. They talk about you.
You're trying to counsel them out of you. You can't counsel them out of you. Absolutely. And that's so true though. I guess that's why they say doctors can't doctor themselves,
Yeah.
because you can't fix you necessarily, and
That's
someone
right.
dealing with you is much much harder to be objective with your
Yeah.
advice when you
Because
can't
I'm gonna
tell you
fix
that
you. I'm
source.
gonna fix you.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's like that story in the Bible where the man comes and he's telling the prophet, he's talking to the king, and the king said, "Who is this man?" And he said, "Thou art the man."
It's you.
You are you know
You are the man.
you are the man.
And can you and when they say that, can you see yourself like, but I didn't do that because I was doing this and I did this because of this and I did this because of this.
Like,
I
no,
remember,
I didn't do that.
I
Yeah.
remember telling my daughter, I asked my daughter, she just laughed at me. I told my daughter, I said, you got mommy issues. She was like, yes. I said, well, listen, I'm sorry. I did the best I can. Go get some therapy.
But see, that's the good part about having a professional as your mom, because she can tell you right away, go get some therapy.
I was
The
like,
rest
go
of
get
us,
some
sometimes
therapy.
we up there trying to go through it with them. Well, this is what I meant, and this is what I did, and
Yes.
it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
And you know that she was quick to tell me she had some mommy issues. She was like,
Right.
yes.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But they will tell us. That's the thing, as
Yes.
moms, they will tell us in a minute. Yeah, you did this, you did that. My one of the things I said, well, what did you do? You know,
Oh, that doesn't matter. That
See,
doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter.
that doesn't
But
matter.
see, that's why we don't need to be their therapist.
Because we
Because we
won't
know
know
the whole
what they
story.
did.
So just go on and get a professional and go sit on the couch if you need to, mama.
Yes,
We just
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Ladies, as usual, the time flies when we're together. We're already 40 minutes in to this session. Um, this has just been such a great conversation already. As we begin to wind down to a close, um, what would you tell? Let's see, how do I put this? This is what I'll do this time. Let's get the inspirational messages. I don't think we've done that this year, not on one of our sessions, because we usually end up talking to almost the end.
Mhm.
But let's try to go ahead and get our inspirational messages in now. What inspirational message would you share with the audience about this time and this season? And it doesn't necessarily have to be mental health, just something inspirational as we go into the holidays, because today is the 16th. And so we only have about 9 days left until Christmas. Look, I have to get it together because just ending school and all of that, my brain, I'm sorry, y'all, it's still a little fried. I'm trying to make sure that I keep it all together, but it's still a little fried. Let me make sure look, this is terrible when you got to look at the calendar to make sure you're on the right day. But I'm going to do it right now, y'all, because it's just that yeah, today is the 16th. Okay. Gotta look at it again. So we're about 9 days till Christmas. What inspirational message would you give, with the upcoming holiday and the new year to our audience as we close out? Because this is our last session of the Lioness Den for 2023.
Mhm.
So I will start with, I think we started with Ebony last time. So we'll start with Adrienne.
So my inspirational message would be take time. As everything goes flying by, and then she said we only have 9 more days, and when we look up, when we blink, we will have missed it. But I want to encourage you to take time. Take time to enjoy the season. Take time to enjoy your family and friends. Take time to grieve if you need to, but make those moments few. I want you to embrace what is and not what's missing. Just love on those who remain. As we said earlier, we concentrate on what was lost, but concentrate and embrace who remain, who's there with you, who's in your corner, who's there that loves you. Enjoy those people. Take the time to enjoy those new traditions and enjoy your season, and be excited about the new year and all the new opportunities that are coming.
I will echo everything that Adrienne just said, and I would say live, love, laugh, and cry if you need to.
Yes.
Take that mute off.
No, not again. I did it again.
You did too today.
I said, wow, Ebony, that was short. But that's why I needed to be muted because I was acting up. But no, absolutely. One of the major things that we said is focus during this session. And so if I was to share, I would say focus. Focus, 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 focus. Focus on what you have, where you're going, and your plan. Make a plan. Let's not go into 2024 aimlessly. And I was looking at a clip of us from mid-year. I posted it a few days ago. And Adrienne said one of the best things. If you had a goal that was set for need to be done by December 31st, change the deadline and focus on moving forward. Because that's another thing that gets us a little down at this time of year is that I had a list of what I plan to do by December 31st. And so now we're headed towards December 31st, and it doesn't look like I'm going to make it. And the answer, I think Adrienne said, is so what?
That's
Is
right.
that the right answer, Adrienne?
Move your deadline. Make a new one.
Make a new one. That's
you
what she
made the
said.
first one. Make the next one.
Make the next one. So let's just give ourselves a pass this year.
Yeah.
That Ebony says that a lot when we talk, but give yourself a pass.
Yeah.
The grace
I'm
to
taking
grow.
some of Ebony wisdom today. Yeah, give yourself a pass. Give yourself a pass. Breathe and just head right on into the next year, understanding that the deadline can move. It's not set in stone. It's your deadline. That's what Adrienne said on that clip. It was I was like, wow. And Ebony said, just like she said a few minutes ago, I agree. Absolutely. But yes, give yourself a break. I think that's one of the major weights we carry into the next year is that we don't know how to give ourselves a break.
Yeah.
Give yourself
I was doing the planner for the next year, and one of the things I put in there is I am extending grace, the same grace that I extend to others, I extend it to myself.
Absolutely. We're usually pretty good about giving others grace and really hard on ourselves, really critical of ourselves. Let's, maybe we can stop critiquing ourselves. Just give ourselves a few minutes just to breathe.
Grace.
Grace. Exactly. Ladies, thank you, because this has been a really good hour already. Yeah, we're 50 minutes in. We're like 48 minutes. It always amazes me how fast the time goes once we start. But thank you. Thank you. I wish you both the best Christmas ever and a wonderful, blessed New Year's. Guys, we're starting something new next year. I will not be hosting every month. It's going to be, we're getting a facelift next year on the Lioness Den. And so, with that being said, our January host is Miss Adrienne Hollimon.
Yeah.
I am doing some of the advice that these ladies have given. I am giving myself a break. I have not missed a session on the Lioness Den for the last probably 3 years. I've been here. I'll still be in the background, but I've been here even when someone else is on the screen. I'm usually here. It's just giving the opportunity for them because the subject matter we're talking about is something that they do. But I'm usually like right in the studio. This year we are making some changes, so I may not even be in the studio. Someone else may be in the studio. But we are refreshing ourselves. We are updating the Lioness Den. You will see new faces on the Lioness Den. You will see new shows on the Lioness Den. We have some great stuff coming up. We have a marriage show that's going to start this year. Um,
Wow.
we already have a show on the men's channel that is not the actual Lions Den show, but it's a separate show. So we are expanding this year. We're adding to the channel, and we're making different moves to get a facelift. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. We have so much exciting things that are going to happen coming this year. And with that being said, Life Happens is already on the table, and our keynote speaker is already here with us. Our keynote for this year is Miss Ebony Vaughan. Um,
Yay.
I am so excited. You guys only get to hear a very short, short amounts of information from Ebony, but trust me, she is a wealth of information. And so please check us out on our link tree, which is HDK Productions, and click the link for Life Happenings. Right now, we have a special going on. Um, we have a special going on of $79 for the conference. And that is only until March. So if you register now, you are in and you are receiving a 25% discount, I believe is what that is, because after March it will be 109. This year we are getting bigger and better. And that's the plan, that every year we get bigger and better. So please join us for Life Happens. Let me see here. I believe I don't have a new flyer yet, but I do have a save the date. So please save the date, October the 26th. Life Happens, and myself and my brother Alonzo will be hosting yet again. We had an amazing time this
Awesome.
year. We had an amazing time this year. So I'm looking for things to only get better every year. So please stay tuned for the Lioness Den, the Lions Den, everything that we do, because we are geared towards um, the whole man, focusing on the whole man, especially our mental health. I believe that, and ladies, please chime in. I believe that the only way to be whole is to make sure that we not only cover our spiritual, our physical, but we have to cover our mental health also.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
as we move forward into this new year, if you need a therapist, please get one.
Please.
Yes,
Please, please don't go into next year and be tormented and have no
Right.
one to talk to.
Right.
We are here. You can contact us. Trust, I am not a mental health professional, but I promise you, I have been graced and blessed to have these wonderful ladies, and now we are starting to get gentlemen.
Mhm.
Look, y'all, we branching out. We starting to get gentlemen who are mental health professionals to join us.
Yes.
So yeah, please, 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 please contact us at I'm okay, there it is. Contact us at the Lioness Den online for any type of requests. If you want to know how to get in touch with Miss Ebony Vaughan, Miss Adrienne Hollimon, Mr. Don Bridges, any of the pastors, Pastor Andre Wilson, Pastor Charlie Taylor, Bishop Mark. If you want spiritual or mental health, and even physical, we have Miss Lucretia Wilson and Miss Joyce England, Pastor Joyce England. So we have a plethora of things that you can find out here on the Lioness Den. So once again, let People always want to call you when you're online. Do y'all know that? They always want to call and just ring the phone. Well, I'm trying to get this long dissertation out there. Here they go. Anyway, do not go into next year still trying to figure it out. Let us help you here. We are offering help on the Lioness Den. Nexus Wellness. Check them out. Um, Ebony, you want to give us a plug for Nexus Wellness real quick?
Yes, Nexus Wellness Group. It is a mental health practice in the Owensboro, Maryland area. We take all insurance plans, and we do virtual and in-person sessions. Our website is Nexus Wellness Group, MD.com.
All right. And we have the dream coach here. And look, let me help you out. So Ebony gonna get your mind right. She's gonna get you going. She's gonna help you to get that all together. And then Adrienne is gonna help you to plan your future.
Yes.
That's why I said we have it all here. Adrienne, can you tell us about DT Dream Coach? I believe is it.
Yes. So on Instagram, I'm DT Dream Coach. On Facebook, we are Women of Great Wealth. And so I help women to, come in line with their purpose, transform their mindsets, and make money. And I'm also the host of the international retreats, the Refreshing Retreats. And we're going to Aruba in April of 2024. So if you want to join us to relax, to relaunch, to reset, reboot, refresh, come on and join us in Aruba, April 2024.
Wonderful. Guys, thank you so much. We love you all, and we will see you next year here on the Lioness Den. Good night.
Good night.
Good evening. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.